So straight over to John with the latest roundup of PMO news. This is a section of the show that everybody seems to enjoy this. So, and I know you do, John, because it gives you an excuse to make sure that you're up on stuff. So, please do take it away.
Fantastic. Right, let's dive in. So the first one, SpaceX is the first thing in the news. So they've had yet another oops moment, shall we say, with one of their rockets unexpectedly crashing down. But I just thought it was a good opportunity to encourage all to look at stories like this and look at them with your PMO hat on and think about lessons we can learn from them, because a few things that they're doing really, really well on this. So they tend to think of these failures as successful failures. They are high risk activities. Launching a rocket is high risk. They've done it iteratively. They were very clear with their first one that they fully expected it to crash, but they were going to generate learning from it. So a few key things that we picked up out of this one. Firstly, setting those expectations in advance when you're doing something risky is vital. So there's no surprises when it happens. I was working with a client on a website migration recently. We had a window in for the migration to happen, and there was a lot of work with stakeholders telling them that actually, whilst we're aiming to do it first time, it is likely that it might be the second or third attempt that we get it done. So we've got other windows in. So there were no surprises and no disappointment when it didn't happen first time, and we got it there the second time around. Highlighting the positives and learning out of those failures. So don't focus on it going wrong, focus on what we've learned from it, what we can take ahead, how it makes us stronger and how it drives us forwards. And the last one there is reminding people of the BHAG, those who aren't familiar with that term, the big, hairy, audacious goal that you're going for. So don't focus on this individual failure. Look at the big picture and where we're going and the direction that we're traveling in. So if you look at the next slide there, what I've just highlighted here is what SpaceX actually said about it themselves. Their statement summarized that, well, they said, if a test flight wasn't exciting enough, Starship experienced a rapid unscheduled disassembly before stage separation. So it wasn't a failure at all. It was a rapid unscheduled disassembly. There's a phrase you may want to take away and use on your projects in the future. None of your projects are failures anymore. They just have rapid unscheduled disassembly. But then they went on, the teams will continue to review data and work towards the next flight. So we're carrying on. They noted that success comes from what they're learning, and they're reinforcing the wider goal, improving Starship's reliability as we seek to make life multiplanetary. And finally, of course, thanking the team that got involved. So quite a good playbook coming out of them there on how you handle those successful failures on your iterative projects. Diving straight on, we're going to stay in the US because this was a publication that came out from the US Government of Accountability. So quite a lot of stuff in the news coming out of the US at the moment. Thanks to Mr. Trump. But what we've got here is an interesting report that might be interesting for PMO people to have a look at. The paper was titled Opportunities to Reduce Fragmentation, Overlap and Duplication and Achieve an Additional $100 billion or more in Future Financial Benefits. Those of you who are enterprise PMOs, just think for a second. If your PMO published not just your regular reporting, but suddenly dropped a paper out to your exec with opportunities to reduce fragmentation, overlap, and duplication in our portfolios, coupled with the and achieve a relevant amount of savings and benefits in your organization, how would that reflect in your PMO and how would that help the organization go forwards? We'll come back to that in a news bit later on as well. But some of the things that they came out with there was reducing duplication across IT portfolios, the space-based lasers. They wanted more iterative development on that. So let's do small incremental steps to demonstrate the value of this project, assuming there is some. They wanted alignment of design standards and noting different areas have got different design standards. They could save a lot of money by standardizing. And they were advocating killing projects off with a specific one they reckon would save billions and work at the Hanford waste energy site. Stop the project until the issues are resolved and then let's look at it again. It's worth a look. Their methodologies in there, what they've done, they go through the detail of where they see those savings and laying them out nice and clearly. And I challenge you to think about as you read it, have a think about how you could do something similar for your organizations to help drive them forward and help drive strategic savings. There was a 2025 report from PM Solutions up next, the 2025 State of the Project Management Office. A lot of insight in there. This is basically research. They've done questionnaires out to a lot of PMO people. They've sliced and diced the data they've got back and shared that. They've done this for a few years, so it's quite interesting to see how things differ. It opens up in a pleasing way, noting that PMOs continue to be strategic powerhouses, which I love. That's quite nice. It makes you gives you a nice warm, fuzzy feeling as you dive into it as a PMO person. Quite a few key takeaways in there. Operating costs of PMOs seem to be quite stable. They haven't really changed over the years. The average size of a PMO they've looked at is 8, but perceived value is continuing to increase. So the value that people perceive from their PMOs is increasing, even though the costs are staying the same, which is fantastic news. So delivering more. I know you don't like value add as a term, Lindsay, but continuing to deliver value to the organizations that they operate in. I'm noticing that high performing PMOs, those that were identified as high performers, one of the key things they did was offer roadmaps to organizational improvement. So whilst a lot of them were focusing on project maturity, both high end and low end PMOs saw that as a really important things to do, but also looking at how they can support organizational improvement, which links quite nicely back to the report I shared from the GAO just now. Looking at things from a project lens, absolutely, the wider portfolio, but also how can we be driving organizational improvement across the business. Challenges, two major ones that cropped up: misalignment of the PMO. This is how we got a highly performing PMO with a low performing organization, high maturity versus low maturity, and the same true in reverse there as well. And a big challenge for everybody was portfolio prioritization is a big one that everyone sees challenges with. How always too many projects and always not quite enough resource to do it, and then working that through with stakeholders to align everybody around it. One thing I did pull out, which was the next one though, Lindsay, quite a few people going out to external providers for a PMO support, project management as a service, outsourcing that, and also looking to organizations for support and guidance with their PMO as well, which is an opportunity for a shameless plug for me. If any of you are looking to go down this road, do give us a shout at Hot PMO. We do this with organizations at the moment. And if you're looking for this kind of service, either somebody's coming and look at what you're doing and assess your alignment with the organization, or to outsource some elements of PMO for individual programs or whatever, then do give me a shout, because it's what we do day in, day out. Enough of the plug for me. Let's move swiftly on. Shameless. I see Alan laughing there. Shameless, I know. Right, let's move on. Okay, in the journal, so the project management journal this month is looking at innovation in the PMO. There's quite a few things in there. I'll just pull this one article out, bridging project management and design thinking. We talked about design thinking on here before, Double Diamond and all those kind of things that I think some of you are familiar with. But this is quite a nice study for those of you that are interested in design thinking and innovation in project management. They take you through quite a very detailed case study of how design thinking is being linked to project management in Air France and what they've done. Big wins for them were deep stakeholder alignment and buy-in right from the start. Problem framing, they found it really useful for that, to reduce ambiguity. Once you get a clear problem statement, it goes a long way to solving the problem that you have. If you can clearly define a problem, you've got a much better chance of solving it than if you aren't able to define it and get to an agreed definition. They also found it really good for unblocking stalled initiatives, so things that weren't moving. And they found actually they could do that by using design thinking techniques in their projects, resolving that a lot more effectively with internal people rather than getting external consultants in to try and help them unblock those. So they found it really good for that as well. They proposed a 4-stage method, which aligns with what design thinking normally does. But again, you can see there a big emphasis on stakeholder identification and getting them immersed in the project and getting them buy-in. A lot of time on project framing and success criteria alignment, which is something that quite often gets kind of done on the back of a fag packet in the corner of Teams, and people get told what the frame is and told what the success criteria are. They make that a big focus in the early phase of their projects. co-creation workshops and rapid feedback by doing a lot of low fidelity prototyping. For them with planes, that was a lot of sort of wooden models and things before they go on something else. But the same holds true with software and other types of projects that we all do as well. It's an easy read, and it's a really good case study in how they've done it as well. So if you're interested in integrating design thinking and innovation, that's a good one to look at. Again, I'll share links in the chat afterwards. And onwards, what have we got? What have we got? What have we got? I think the last one was this one. There's a wall of stuff here. This is really just to say that AI still is continuing to dominate some of the news that's out there from all angles. APM, they've got blog posts in there about the AI powered PMO. In the report from PM Solutions that I mentioned earlier, they're picking up that more than 36% of organizations with PMOs are using AI supported practices now, and 61% of the high performing ones are using AI supported practices as well. There's research going on everywhere. The government have launched an AI Insight series, which is aimed at people in government organizations, but they're looking at how people can be using AI and dropping in case studies and things there that are designed to help people in government use AI more effectively. There's two bits of research that, again, I'll share links to there. One is assessment of how the challenges of getting conversational AI into construction projects, starting with small ones there. And the one that you can just see on the right, if you've got a magnifying glass there, is looking at how AI can be used to improve story point estimation in software development. Spoiler alert, it can and it does massively improve the quality of story point estimation for those of you working with agile teams. So lots of stuff there, a busy month as ever, lot to get your head around. I will share some links in the chat. As always, if you've seen something in the news that I haven't picked up on, do share it with me because I love to read it. There's a question that's just popped up from Alan in chat for those of you that have joined the Zoom call. And for those of you, by the way, that listen regularly online through YouTube or LinkedIn, if you do sign up for this on the House of PMO website, you get a link to the Zoom chat where you kind of on the inner circle where we can see what you're saying as you're typing it there. But are you using AI and are you allowed to use AI? That is a challenge for some organizations where they're finding that because of the work they do, the nature of things, where AI is not allowed at all in some organizations, some restrict what you are allowed to use it for, and there's various different guidance. I would say for those of you that are in an organization that is not allowing AI at all, for your personal development, I would say it is worth you looking at this outside of work and understanding what's going on. Because as you saw there, with 61% of high performing PMOs using it, it is something that if you're not using it in your PMO now, it will almost certainly be in the next PMO role you go into. And it's something that you want to be able to talk about in terms of your skills and competencies going forwards. That's it from me, I think. If there's anything that you've spotted that I haven't, do send it over because I love to read and I hate missing out on things.
Yeah.